So this is definitely going to be the least organized of my check-ins for the Artist's Way. This is supposed to be week 5. And it's Wednesday. I usually do my check-ins on Sunday night or Monday morning. And I haven't done it until now, and I really actually almost didn't do most of the exercises. It's definitely the laziest week that I've had so far. So this week is about recovering a sense of possibility. A lot of the exercises are geared towards trying to figure out what you're holding yourself back from. So the chapter starts out, this week you are being asked to examine your payoffs in remaining stuck. You will explore how you curtail your possibilities by placing limits on the good you can receive. You'll examine the cost of settling for appearing good instead of being authentic. You may find yourself thinking about radical changes, no longer ruling out your growth by making others the cause of your constriction. The reading goes through limits, and then it has something called the virtue trap, which I guess is like, in what ways are you avoiding enjoyment? In what ways are you making yourself suffer? And I guess it's trying to get at the fact that you need to have leisure time in order to be able to be creative. I didn't really connect with this reading, but also I watched a couple of videos of other people doing the Artist's Way who have recorded their YouTube check-ins. And a lot of people seem to struggle with week 5. It definitely seems to be this point of like, you know how Wednesday is often the hardest point of the week, of the work week, because it's the middle of the week. You know, you've worked already, you've got another 2 days left to go before the weekend, and it just feels like a bit of a drag. Week 5 feels a little bit like that, and it is about halfway through the program. But also, week 4 was really intense. Like, doing the media deprivation was extremely challenging. It took up a lot of mental effort. This week in my morning pages, which I think I only did like 3 or 4 times, like maybe 4 times at most, one of my morning pages was literally 3 pages of me talking about how much I hate the Artist's Way, how much I don't want to be doing it, and that I want to quit. And then the following day, I actually just didn't do the morning pages. Weirdly enough, after, writing out all of that hatred or anger or whatever, or, despair about the program, frustration, I would call it actually, I did actually feel better. I think that was the first time doing the morning pages where I felt good afterwards, and I thought that there was some benefit. But it was also the first time writing the morning pages where I really let my emotions run loose. And I was feeling a lot towards the program. On reflection, I don't feel a lot of those things about it. I was just, frustrated. And so I wonder if that is the real point of the morning pages, and perhaps if that was the first time that I had used them correctly, in just, this outpouring of emotion and frustration. And I've read through it, and it's like none of it is good. Like, the writing that I'd written is like, I would be embarrassed if anyone ever read it, because it is very whiny, really. But, that was just a thought that I had. There's extra exercises this week as well, and some of them are, there's like several exercises where you have to write out things that you wish you had done, or what would you do if money was no object? What would you do if you were 20 years old and had all the money in the world? What would you do if you were 65 and had no regrets? What would you have done? There's some exercises that are a bit repetitive. The 5 imaginary lives. So I think that was in week 1, where you write out 5 lives that you would like to live. Like what careers. Sorry. I'm not going to bother to re-record this time. I can't be bothered with that. What would you do if you were going to live another life? And I guess the imaginary lives was supposed to be 5 career choices that you might want to do if you were living in some alternate life. And mine were actually the same. I didn't revisit it, but I went and looked back afterwards. So it was illustrator, YouTuber, painter, novelist, and the 5th one was a monk, which was the new one. And when I'd written it in week 1, the 5th one wasn't monk, it was academic. So that was interesting. I wonder why I chose monk. I wonder why I chose monk. Maybe I'm feeling introspective. I'm not really sure what that's about, but I have honestly often thought about, the virtues of being a monk and being able to meditate and let go of all your worldly possessions and desires, and removing your mind of unwanted thoughts, all of that sort of stuff. And minimalism is actually something that I do have as a value, particularly material minimalism. I wouldn't say that I'm particularly good at it, but it is something that I aspire towards. So that might be related. Yeah, and then there was something about having an image file, and you do a lot of these exercises, and you're supposed to be accumulating images that represent those specific things. So there's an image. You're supposed to create an image file that represents what would you do if you had all the money in the world, and then you kind of, start putting images in of what that looks like. And then there's, add images of when you were 20, what would you do if you were living your life over? What would you do if you were 65 and had money? You're supposed to be... Oh, and then exercise 8 is talking about your favorite creative block. And I know what my favorite creative block is, or my favorite distraction. It is definitely YouTube. I spend a lot of time on here researching things that I'm not even sure that I really need to know, but I do enjoy a good video essay in particular. And then I'm supposed to add an image to the file of that. I'm not sure what the point of this image file is, but I would assume that maybe it's going to get used for something in the future. But I didn't do it. I was really frustrated with the program. I let it sort of, the frustration take over, and I suppose I was just really questioning what the point of it is, whether it's actually worth doing, whether Julia Cameron actually knows what she's talking about, why am I bothering to do this, all these kinds of thoughts. But I also had a very busy week. I'm taking part in a clinical trial, which I've never done before. Fascinating, kind of frustrating, and really boring as well. But it takes up a lot of time. There's just endless visits to the clinic. Sometimes I'm there from like 8 in the morning to 6 or 7 at night. There'll even be a 12-hour day coming up. So because I'm doing this clinical trial, and I do actually want to complete the clinical trial, I don't want to withdraw. There's a lot of benefits that come from it. They do MRIs and DEXA scans and all this sort of stuff that I find really fascinating, but it is taking up a lot of my time. And I just thought, even though it's Wednesday, I'm a couple of days late with a check-in, I'm going to continue with the program. I don't want to cave in and give up now, because as I've said repeatedly, it's like my 3rd time trying to get through it, and I just need to get through it as best I can and I can always go back and revisit exercises or do whatever at a later date if I really need to. So I'm going to continue on to week 6 now, and I guess I'll upload this check-in. And yeah, sorry for the audio quality or whatever, but it is what it is. All right, thanks.